Let's get right into it. Number 9. The shiny trash pile that changed everything. It's 1913, and Harry Brearley is trying to make better gun barrels. He's a metallurgist in Sheffield, England. The British military wanted guns that wouldn't wear out so fast, so Harry's job was to find a metal that could handle all that heat and friction. Day after day, he'd mix different metals together, test them, and when they failed, he'd chuck them onto this growing pile of rejects outside his workshop. Then one day he notices something weird. All his failed experiments are covered in rust except for one. This one piece is just sitting there, shiny as the day he made it. Most people would have just ignored it, but Harry wondered why this one wasn't rusting. Turns out, he'd accidentally created something way more valuable than a better gun barrel. He'd invented stainless steel. The thing that made it fail as a gun barrel, too much chromium, is exactly what made it resist rust. It's like failing a math test, but accidentally solving world hunger. This failed experiment ended up revolutionizing everything. Surgical tools, kitchen sinks, forks, you name it. Before stainless steel, people were using regular steel that would rust constantly. Imagine going to a restaurant and getting served with a rusty fork. Or worse, imagine a surgeon coming at you with rusty tools. But the wildest thing is, if Harry had been more organized and cleaned up his failed experiments right away, we might not have stainless steel today. It all started with a shiny piece of trash. Number 8. The angriest chef ever invents potato chips. It's 1853 at a fancy restaurant in Saratoga Springs, New York. There's this chef named George Crumb, and he's having the worst day of his life. Some rich guy keeps sending his French fries back to the kitchen. Too thick. Too soggy, not enough salt. George Crumb isn't just any chef. He's known for his temper. After the third time this guy sends back his fries, Crumb snaps. He decides to get revenge in the pettiest way possible. He slices the potatoes so thin you could practically read a newspaper through them. He fries them until they're basically potato cremains. Then he dumps enough salt on them to preserve a mammoth. He sends them out, absolutely certain the customer will hate them, and finally leave him alone. But the customer takes one bite and absolutely loves them. He starts ordering them every time he visits. Other customers see this new dish and start requesting Crumb's angry potatoes. Soon they become the most popular item on the menu. Potato chips were born, all because a chef tried to ruin someone's meal out of sheer spite. George Crumb was known for his incredible cooking, but what made him famous was the worst cooking job he ever did on purpose. Number 7. Superglue. Imagine you're a scientist trying to make clear plastic gun sights during World War II. You're mixing chemicals together, hoping to create something revolutionary for the war effort. Instead, you create the most annoying substance known to mankind. Everything you touch gets stuck together. Your tools are ruined, your workspace is a mess, and you're probably questioning your life choices. This was Harry Coover's life in 1942, and he was ready to throw his sticky failure in the trash. What Coover had created was cyanoacrylate, better known today as superglue. At first, everyone thought it was useless. It was like having a clingy ex that won't let go of anything. Fast forward to the Vietnam War. Field medics discovered they could spray this stuff on soldiers' wounds to stop bleeding instantly, long enough to get them to a hospital. A guy trying to make better gun sights accidentally created a product that would save the lives of people shot by guns. The applications didn't stop there. Today, surgeons use medical-grade versions of cyanoacrylate to replace traditional stitches in some operations, sealing skin without needles. It's also used in forensics to lift fingerprints from crime scenes by fuming the area, causing the glue to stick to the oils left by a person's fingertips. All from a failed experiment that was almost thrown away for being too sticky. Number 6. Safety glass. It's 1903, and French chemist Edouard Benedictus is in his lab when he accidentally knocks over a glass flask. The flask had been sitting there for days, collecting dust and a dried-up plastic coating from some previous experiment he forgot about. He's waiting for the sound of glass shattering everywhere, but something weird happens. The flask hits the ground, and instead of exploding into a million sharp pieces, it just cracks. The glass stays together, held in place by that forgotten plastic film. A few days later, Benedictus reads about a car accident where the windshield shattered and severely injured the passengers. That's when it hits him. His lazy lab cleaning habits might actually save lives. Back then, car windshields were just regular glass. Get into a crash, and you've got a face full of sharp glass confetti. So Benedictus starts experimenting with sandwiching a layer of plastic between two sheets of glass. When this new glass breaks, it cracks but stays together, kind of like a spider web. He had invented safety glass. It's not just in cars. This stuff is now everywhere. Your phone screen uses similar technology to prevent it from shattering into tiny shards. Those big windows in skyscrapers, Hurricane-resistant glass, and even astronaut helmets use the same basic concept to provide strength and safety, all because a chemist didn't clean up his old experiments. Number 5. The hot stove accident that changed everything. It's 1839, and Charles Goodyear is having the worst decade of his life. He's already been thrown in debtor's prison multiple times. His family is starving because he keeps spending all their food money on rubber experiments, and everyone he knows thinks he's completely lost his mind. Back then, rubber was basically useless. In the summer heat, it would turn into a sticky, melting goo. In the winter, it would freeze solid and crack. People had tried making rubber goods like raincoats, but they'd either melt in the sun or shatter in the cold. Goodyear was obsessed with fixing this problem. He tried mixing rubber with literally anything he could find. Salt, pepper, soup, you name it. One day, he's in his workshop, which was really just his kitchen because he was too broke for a real lab, mixing rubber with sulfur. Then he accidentally spills the whole mixture on his hot stove. Instead of melting into a useless puddle, the rubber charred and cured into a tough, springy material that didn't melt in heat or crack in the cold. Goodyear had just invented vulcanized rubber, which is the basis for almost every rubber product we use today. Tires, shoe soles, hoses, gaskets, it's all thanks to this happy accident. The funny part is, he was so broke he couldn't even afford to patent his own invention properly. Other people got rich off his discovery while he died with $200,000 in debt, but at least they named a tire company after him, almost 40 years after he died. Number 4. The color mauve. Imagine being an 18-year-old chemistry student trying to cure malaria. That's where William Perkin found himself in 1856. He was working with coal tar, a thick, black, sticky gunk that was a waste product from the coal gas industry. Perkin was trying to synthesize quinine, the anti-malaria drug, from this tar. He was in his home lab, probably feeling pretty confident about curing one of humanity's deadliest diseases. Instead, he created a complete disaster. His experiment failed spectacularly, leaving behind a thick, nasty black sludge at the bottom of his beaker. While trying to clean up his mess with alcohol, something magical happened. The sludge dissolved and turned the solution a bright, beautiful purple. Not just any purple. This was the most vibrant, stunning purple anyone had ever seen. Back then, purple dye was literally worth more than its weight in gold. The only way to get it was to extract it from the glands of thousands of tiny sea snails. It took over 10,000 snails to make a single gram of dye, making it a color only royalty could afford. Perkin realized he had stumbled upon something huge. He named his new color mauve, and it could be made cheaply and easily from coal tar waste. His failed attempt at curing malaria accidentally kicked off the entire synthetic dye industry. This led to cheap, colorful clothing for everyone, not just the rich. Even better, the new chemical techniques developed to create these dyes led to major advances in medicine, including the development of chemotherapy and antibiotics, as scientists learned how to use dyes to selectively stain and target specific cells and bacteria. Number 3. The glowing drawer incident. It's 1896. A French physicist named Henri Becquerel is studying how uranium salts glow after being exposed to sunlight, a phenomenon known as phosphorescence. His theory was that the sun's energy was being absorbed by the uranium and then re-emitted as this glow. He planned to put some uranium salts on a photographic plate, wrap the whole thing in black paper, and leave it in the sun. If his theory was right, the plate would be exposed by the glow, a silhouette of the crystals. But Paris gave him cloudy weather for days. Frustrated, Becquerel just shoved the entire setup, the uranium, the wrapped plate, everything, into a dark desk drawer and forgot about it. A few days later, for reasons he himself couldn't explain, he decided to develop the photographic plate anyway. He expected it to be blank. Instead, the plate was completely exposed with a clear image of the uranium crystals, like someone had taken a photo with the flash on. This shouldn't have happened. The uranium was in a pitch-black drawer, sealed in black paper. No sunlight could have gotten to it. Becquerel realized the uranium was emitting its own energy, completely independent of the sun. He had accidentally discovered radioactivity. He stumbled upon one of the biggest scientific discoveries of all time because he was too lazy to reset his experiment. His discovery directly led to the work of Marie and Pierre Curie and paved the way for nuclear power, radiation therapy for cancer, and every superhero origin story ever. Number 2, the slippery failure. It's 1938, and a chemist named Roy Plunkett is trying to make a better, non-toxic refrigerator coolant for DuPont. He's working with a nasty gas, and he has a batch of it stored in a pressurized metal cylinder. One morning, he comes into the lab, opens the valve on the cylinder to get some gas for his experiment, and nothing comes out. The pressure gauge still says the cylinder is full, but it's completely silent. Plunkett and his assistant are baffled. Did the gas leak? Was the valve broken? Eventually, they decide to do something you should never do with a pressurized container. They saw it open. Instead of an explosion of gas, they found the inside was coated with a weird, waxy, incredibly slippery white powder. The gas inside had spontaneously polymerized into a solid. Plunkett started poking at it and noticed something strange. Nothing stuck to it. Not water, not oil, not even super sticky chemicals. This accidental powder turned out to be polytetrafluoroethylene, or PTFE, better known by its brand name, Teflon. This failed refrigerant experiment ended up revolutionizing everything from cookware to space travel. NASA uses it in their space suits and for heat shields because it's incredibly durable and resistant to heat. If you've had certain types of surgery, there are likely Teflon-coated medical devices inside you right now. And of course, it's the reason your eggs don't stick to your pan anymore, all because of a stubborn gas cylinder that refused to work. Number 1. The anti-clotting cow disease. It's the 1920s in Wisconsin, and farmers are having a very strange and disturbing problem. Their cows are dropping dead. They'd get a small cut and just bleed out. Healthy cattle were turning into hemophiliacs overnight. Farmers noticed all the bleeding cows had been eating the same thing, sweet clover hay. But not just any hay. Moldy, spoiled hay that farmers were forced to use because times were tough during the Great Depression. Most people would just throw out the bad hay, but one fed-up farmer loaded his truck with his dead cow, a milk can full of its blood that wouldn't clot, and a bundle of the moldy hay. He drove through a snowstorm to the University of Wisconsin and dumped it all on a scientist's doorstep, demanding answers. That scientist, Carl Link, started investigating. It took him and his team 6 long years to figure out what was happening. They finally isolated the chemical in the moldy clover that was causing the bleeding. It was an extremely powerful anticoagulant. It was literally turning the cow's blood into water. At first, Link's idea was to sell the chemical as a rat poison. It was perfect. A rat would eat it, wander off, and bleed to death internally with no obvious signs of poisoning, so other rats wouldn't get suspicious. He named it warfarin. But then, a U.S. Army recruit tried to take his own life by ingesting massive amounts of warfarin. He was rushed to the hospital, and to everyone's surprise, made a full recovery after being treated with vitamin K. This proved that the effects could be controlled. Doctors realized if this stuff could be controlled, it could be used to help people with blood clots. They tweaked the formula, and warfarin became one of the most widely prescribed blood thinners in the world, preventing heart attacks and strokes for millions. The same stuff that started as a bizarre cow disease and was then sold as rat poison is now keeping Grandpa's blood flowing. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.